Well, hello everyone. My name is Ryan Castor. I am a life sciences teacher, grades 9 through 12, and a STEAM coach, grades 7 through 12 at Mohawk Area High School, junior, senior high. And I just wanted to take a few minutes today to talk to you about Google Chrome and the Chromebooks that are being distributed to each and every one of our students in grades 7 through 12. So what exactly is a Chromebook? Well, a Chromebook is a piece of hardware. It's a device, a machine, or basically a small personal computer that could be manufactured by one of many different manufacturers, but this particular kind of device runs what's known as Chrome operating system, or it's referred to as Chrome OS. It's basically a piece of software that runs primarily with an internet connection and runs applications from the internet from what's called the cloud. The cloud is this imaginary database that is often referred to as living up in the sky, even though it actually lives somewhere on land in a server farm off-site. So all the applications and all the data that Chrome operating system runs is going to live and operate or function out of a cloud platform. You could basically think of it as a smartphone, like an iPhone or an Android, with an actual keyboard and a larger screen. So why did the district decide to go with Chromebooks? Many different educational reasons. The first and most important, because we're a student-focused institution, the Chromebooks improve student workflow. We witnessed this last year with our first year workflow that's distributed, work that is distributed, by the teachers. It flows so much better electronically. We are beginning to place a strong emphasis on technology being learned as a way of life, not just something that happens down on our technology education hall. But as technology is something that permeates almost every aspect of life these days. I would probably predict that 95 to 98% of the jobs right out of high school and out of college, higher education, are going to involve some type of computer, whether it's for reporting or whether it's for actually carrying out whatever the task might be. Technology is unavoidable. Another indirect goal through our use of Chromebooks is to teach our students responsible and effective use of technology within a semi-professional, professional, almost workplace type setting. So it's more of a life skill than an actual academic skill. Moving on, practical reasons, the Google Apps for Education, which is now actually referred to as the Google Suite or the G Suite. These applications are being used all over the district and all over many other districts. These apps include things like Google Docs, which has in essence replaced Microsoft Word, Google Sheets, which has in essence replaced Microsoft Excel, Google Slides, which has in essence replaced Microsoft PowerPoint. You get the point. These apps for education are used everywhere. The apps themselves and the storage, the cloud storage on which they reside, is actually free to the district because we are an educational institution. It's quite nice that Google has not only made the apps in this storage, because all data requires storage these days. They've made that free to us, but what Google has also done is they have promised to not data mine or not track any of the usage within these educational accounts. So if, for example, daughter or son searches for a new iPhone charger on Amazon, they're not going to be seeing advertisements for iPhone chargers pop up in their Instagram feed. So what's in it for them? What's in it for Google? Well, they're looking down the road with hopes that our current students will go on to open up their private email accounts after they are done here at Mohawk, in which case they do mine that data. Chromebooks are quick, they're extremely reliable, they're accessible, they are sturdy, which we have found out in many cases last year, our first year. I'll talk a little bit more about damage when we get to that section of the presentation here. And most importantly for our IT department, because we've rolled out such a large number of devices, they are easy to use and to manage in between school years. So it's really easy for our IT department to manage these devices. And the last point, which should actually have been the first point, Chromebooks are extremely inexpensive. You could do a quick Google search, compare any Chromebook price to the price of an equivalent true laptop, and you will find that the price difference is drastic. And that's because the Chromebooks don't actually need the types of processors and memory and storage that a typical laptop computer would have, again, because the Chromebooks are depending on accessing all of that stuff through the cloud. They're depending on the cloud to provide the processing power. They're depending on the cloud to provide the storage, the data storage that's needed. And in taking those pieces of hardware out of the picture, naturally the price of the Chromebook can actually drop. So they are extremely inexpensive for the district. So who is getting a Chromebook this year, the 2017-2018 school year? All students in grades 7 through 12 are going to receive a Chromebook. They'll be issued after parent information nights. You have to be there, you have to sign, and you have to get your proper documentation submitted. There is yet again a new acceptable use policy. That's what AUP stands for. And it's just an agreement that the students will use them according to what is in that policy. So that has to be signed and turned in by both a parent or guardian and the student before the Chromebook will be issued. New this year also, there is an agreement or an acknowledgement form that is going to be due upon receipt of the Chromebook. It's basically just a signature form that says, I received my Chromebook. So why are we using Google Apps for Education? Well, again, they're free. And this is a nice feature. They always contain the most up-to-date software. So this kind of does away with the need to update things like, if you'll think back to the days of Microsoft 2003, eventually you probably had to update to Microsoft 2007, which then became Microsoft 2010. Microsoft Office 2010, so on and so forth. There's really no user need to make updates to the Google Apps for Ed software. It's all happening in the background, and the nice thing is that these updates happen. They occur just a little bit at a time, so it's not like a total overhaul of the user interface of these applications. It's one little change or two little changes at a time that users can then gently adapt to as they roll the updates out. Google Apps for Ed are nice because students do not need to be on site to access a local server here in the building for maybe projects that they're backing up to the server. They don't even actually need USB thumb drives. If they have internet access, they can work directly out of the cloud from home, school, or anywhere with wireless internet access. Collaboration seems to be the way education is shifting. Collaboration is kind of the new name of the game, I guess, is how I would say it. And Google Apps for Ed takes out every hindrance for collaboration possible. So students can sit in the classroom face to face. They can collaborate. Everyone can contribute in their own unique way to a project. But then when the devices and the students move off campus, off site, they can continue to collaborate because the apps that are running, they have a lot of really unique, really nice features that permit collaboration on projects, even when the students are not sitting next to one another physically. The Google Apps for Ed have allowed the district to gradually begin to go paperless. Now, I don't believe that we will ever be a completely 100% paperless district. but that's the goal. We're trying to remove as much paper out of the flow of work as possible for many different reasons. This kind of takes out the old dog ate the homework excuse for students, so sorry about that, but not really. It does, however, take a little bit of the onus off of students to have to keep track of their physical assignments. So going paperless allows them to have an electronic version of whatever it is they might be working on, which they can easily pull up with a Google search within their Google Drive cloud storage. So what will students be receiving this year? We have a couple different manufacturer types of Chromebooks in the system this year. I'm not going to go into detail about which grades are getting which models. In essence, if you had a Chromebook last year, you are basically going to get that same Chromebook back. So same make, same model. If you are new to getting a Chromebook this year, you'll be getting a new manufacturer, newer model of Chromebook. So I guess going into detail here, grades 7 and 8 are going to be getting ASUS machines, and 9 through 12 are going to have the Acer machines that we saw last year. You'll also get a charger and adapter, and that's it. No cases, no shells, no protectors, nothing of that sort this year. You're getting simply the device and the charger that comes with it. On the new devices, there is a manufacturer's warranty. On the old devices, that manufacturer's warranty has expired. I want to pause for 1 minute and make sure that you hear loud and clear. This year, the district decided to not purchase NOT. They did not purchase insurance. And that was a hard decision to come to, but the main reasoning was due to the fact that we did have some intentional malicious destruction of devices happen last year. Through many different means, we were able to boil it down to factual information that things were maliciously broken. And the reason that they were maliciously broken, we found out in the end, is because kids knew they were covered, students knew they were covered by insurance, and so they thought, hey, no big deal, it's covered. So we've done away with insurance coverage. However, the manufacturer's warranties, limited manufacturer's warranties, are still going to be in place on new machines. Those are going to be grades 7 through 8 machines. And those details are going to be laid out in the manual of the machine. So if you have any questions about that, I would ask that you refer to the manual in the machine. So again, no insurance coverage this year, which means for students, any damages that occur to your device must absolutely 100% be reported immediately. All right, if there's any hope for any restitution or recovery of repair cost, which is all going to be on students this year, those damages have got to be reported immediately. There's no damage and then a week's wait time because you don't want to get your buddy or your girlfriend in trouble. You have to report that damage immediately so that the proper repair procedure can actually be carried out. Okay, so just to reiterate, no insurance this year, only limited manufacturer warranty on the devices that grades 7 and 8 will be getting. And warranty is not insurance. Okay, warranty only covers manufacturer defects. How will students use their Chromebooks? They'll use it to access the internet both on the campus here as well as at home. And parents breathe a sigh of relief. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this will save some cell data. So all the data pushes that teachers were making to phones through Classroom in years past are now going to be accessed through Chromebooks. Students will use them in class for projects, notes, research, quizzes, you name it. The list goes on and on and on. Homework, again, collaborative group work, we already touched on that. And then we, as a district, are allowing our students to use the devices during study hall, study time, and any other free time that they have during school. We have no problem with students having their Chromebooks open. And last, this is for maybe our more geared towards our upperclassmen and classwomen. They will be able to take any courses, online courses that colleges offer to actually prepare for college, which is really great. Online courses generally tend to run a little less expensive than on-site courses. And so, hey, if we can help students, if we can provide a Chromebook for students and help them get a leg up on college, then boy, I think that's a great advantage for them. So teachers are going to have a common shared philosophy, but most teachers are going to differ in their delivery and their use of Chromebooks in their classrooms. So do not expect the same exact type of delivery all 8 periods throughout the day. It's going to be different depending on whose classroom you're sitting in. So definitely do expect some difference in how the Chromebooks are actually employed within the classrooms. Some common ways or shared ways: assignment notifications will be sent out through things like Remind and through Google Classroom. Grades will be pushed to Edustar, which is accessible from the Chromebooks. Teachers will create class calendars that are linked directly to Google Classroom. Students can get on and see when assignments are due or overdue. Teachers will be able to send follow-up content or communication after class by email and Google Classroom and many other different methods. And then pre-test tutoring. This is a big one. I have on a few occasions actually held some tutoring sessions live. And in the way past, this was only available to students that had a device of their own, like a mobile phone, an iPad, or a laptop of their own. Now every student has a Chromebook in their hands, so no one is at a disadvantage. So basically, the sky is the limit here. Teachers and students alike are not limited in how they can actually use the Chromebooks or deploy the Chromebooks. So internet safety, students are able to connect to their home or public Wi-Fi hotspots, but the content is still filtered as if it were in school. Okay, so stuff that they can't reach in school, they also will not be able to reach at home. Their activity is still monitored as if they were in school through same data logging as it always has been. And just to go back here, we are using a piece of software called GoGuardian, and GoGuardian is a really great flagging and use tracking piece of software for the Chromebooks. Now, this does not mean that we can take control of Chromebooks and turn cameras on. That's not possible through GoGuardian. So please don't think that that's the case. So again, to reiterate, when you're outside of school, using your Chromebook outside of school, connected to a Wi-Fi network, we're still going to use our standard data logging. And then back to this GoGuardian, it provides stats on how you're using your devices. So I think last year we were able to see that a large number of students were researching nursing schools after maybe a field trip to a hospital of some sort. Okay, so lots of valuable statistics to show us that the Chromebooks are being used the way we intend them to be used. The Chromebooks, GoGuardian on the Chromebooks also provides info on what is being accessed by the Chromebooks online. So if there's a questionable site and you know it's questionable and you think, maybe I shouldn't be on here, rule of thumb, just don't go to that website, right? Because if you do, then there's a high probability that you're going to be sitting in Mr. Omar or Ms. Retort's office the next day having to explain how and why you landed on a site you shouldn't have been on, okay? So please be aware of that. And we do get flags, excuse me, we do get flags thrown when inappropriate content is accessed from a device. So it's not like our IT department has to sit and monitor and watch usage like a hawk 24/7. GoGuardian actually is able to recognize that students are on sites they should not be. GoGuardian does offer some geolocation tracking, so if a device goes missing, as long as it is powered on, we are able to track it down. We can take remote screenshots of the screen, but we cannot, again, access the camera. We cannot engage or turn the camera on or off. All we can do is take a snapshot of whatever is displayed on the screen of the Chromebook at any given point. We can look at browsing history. If anything is ever in question, we can pull that browsing history up and see where the Chromebook has visited. And GoGuardian uses CIPA compliant, that's Child Information Privacy Act compliant blacklist software, which means it's blocking anything that is landed on a federally generated blacklist. So sites that minors, that children should really not be on, GoGuardian automatically blocks those. So we do have two layers of filtering software. We have our standard filtering, content filtering software, and then we have this second layer known as GoGuardian. And then again, we can look at browsing behaviors, browsing trends on a student-by-student basis. So student email etiquette, as you know from last year, we have switched student email accounts on. They can access those at mohawk.k12.pa.us email accounts anytime. And there's a little bit of etiquette to email. Definitely keep it classy. Don't put anything in writing that could come back to bite you. Don't put anything in writing that is malicious or hurtful or anything of that sort. Keep it classy. It's a very simple rule to live by. The reason you need to keep it classy is because even when you think you've deleted an email from your Gmail account, it's still archived for years. I believe it's 7, and that's a legal requirement. That's not something that we just choose to do because we feel like we need to keep records. We are required with students under our supervision to archive emails, communication. Again, much like you not getting your Chromebook, your email account is not going to be switched on until your acceptable use policy is completed and turned on as well. So there is going to be a little bit of leeway at the beginning of the year for those of you who have addresses already turned on. From last year, I know you've been using them throughout the summer, but if you don't get your AUP turned in by the due date, then your email account's going to get turned off. And if you have communicated with any colleges or any shadowing opportunities of that sort through this email address and they email you back and it's turned off, you're going to be at a loss because you're not going to know that they've emailed you back. So moral of the story, get your acceptable use policy signed and turned in the day after you get it. Student account format is the same as last year. It did change last year, but it has remained the same since. So here's the format real quick. 2 digits of your graduation year, followed by your last name, followed by your first name. No spaces in between those. And then we have an underscore and then the 3 letters in caps, STU. That designates you as a student. And you're going to use this information for login to all of your educational software platforms. So what else is new this year? We have a couple new classroom codes that I wanted to share with you for Google Classroom. And I would highly encourage each grade to get subscribed to their Google Classroom class grade level Google Classroom, because this is where a large amount of class-wide information is pushed out. So seniors, super duper important at the mid-year, end-year messages for field trips and for graduation and commencement and baccalaureate. That's the type of information that's going to be pushed out through your grade level Google Classroom. So please make sure you use the corresponding codes that you see here from 7th grade all the way through 12th and get subscribed to Google Classroom. The verbiage of the acceptable use policy has changed a little bit today, so this year I should say, so please make sure that you get the new form and that it gets signed, and once signed and submitted, you will receive your Chromebook. The other new thing this year is that acknowledgement of Chromebook receipt that I referred to. You're going to sign this to acknowledge that you've been handed your Chromebook device as well as its charger. So at this point, if you do not have questions, I know that it says to proceed by responding with the hyperlink above the video. However, it is actually below the video. So if you don't have any questions, please go ahead, click the link down below to verify that you've watched this webinar, and that'll take you to a Google form that submits your name, the student's name, and a little acknowledgement that you've watched the video and that you do understand what was discussed. If you do have questions, you're going to do the same thing. Again, the link is below, not above. That's a little typo in the presentation here on my part. Find that link down below. Go through the same process, fill that form out, and at the very bottom, that last question, which is optional, if you have questions, that's where you should put your questions. So those questions will be answered by someone here on the faculty, one of the Chromebook coaches, one of the IT people, or one of the students from our stat team will get right back to you with an answer to your question there. So that's all we have for the Chromebook webinar, informational webinar. Again, if you have questions, make sure you submit them in the form below.